Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Collin and Curtis in the Morning. This is number 47. Collin, we have quite the episode
Quite the
that is about
episode.
to unfold.
I got
I want to start
surprises.
off, there's something I want to start with first because this thing is something I stumbled upon last night. There's a news story from earlier this week that I just completely missed, and I'm so excited. So, Gamescom is next week, and as a little bit of a teaser, Bandai Namco put out a trailer. Colin, I want you to open that trailer up. It is
Okay.
sent to you in our Skype chat,
All right, I'm opening it
and
now.
I want you to start watching this.
Okay. Peggy 16.
Yes, Peggy 16. So this is a trailer for a game called Little Nightmares.
Bandai Namco Entertainment presents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
How
a
long
Tarsier Studios game.
Tarsier Studios.
Whatever, yeah.
Hey, you remember Hunger?
I think so. I think we've maybe talked about that game before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, this
Guess
looks
what?
like it. This looks like it.
So Hunger has been renamed. It has been picked up by Bandai Namco. We're going to learn more about it next week at Gamescom.
Oh, yeah.
But the trailer they put out didn't show a lot. It was just a very quick little tease. A lot of kind of similar, kind of like, not really set pieces, but kind of similar. Like very obviously, it doesn't look like anything's changed. Just the name itself. It's now Little Nightmares instead of Hunger.
What if I told you there was always a man? There was always a lighthouse.
Always a kid in a yellow
Always a kid in a yellow
poncho.
poncho, yeah.
It was
That's
always like a
cool.
butcher like hitting meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this underwater factory facility thing. Yeah, nice. I
So-
haven't seen this.
I'm super excited. Like I'm glad that because I was just thinking about it the other day of like, man, I really hope we hear something about that game soon because
Yeah.
it just looked that first trailer, like all we saw of it, it just looked so interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy about this, and
Yeah.
I wanted to like I didn't think you had seen it, so I figured okay, well I want to get like Colin's live reaction.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Yeah, this is really cool. It's a
Colin,
very
looking
pleasant
for
surprise.
looking for a reason to be excited about video games. Here's one.
I'm excited
Hunger
about
is
video
alive.
games, Curtis.
They have a website, a little teaser site. No information, but they've got like 3 sliding block puzzles
Okay.
on there. So I spent like the better part of an hour trying to solve these sliding block puzzles.
Huh. All right, cool.
So that's that. Let's just move into this next piece of news that magically changed before our eyes moments before recording.
All right, do you need to sit down, Curtis? Are you sitting down?
So I don't know what to make of this. So
Okay.
we're coming up on the big day, September 30th, 2016. Reclaim the Throne. Final Fantasy 15. This week we've been getting like the past couple weeks we can get more and more information on the season pass that was recently like pseudo announced and just like showed up on the store, the Sony store for pre-orders, and we kind of know about that. But I thought the interesting announcement like yesterday was that Florence and the Machine isn't just doing a Stand By Me cover, they're actually doing 2 other songs. So 3 total. I've listened to them a lot. I really like them. Of course, Florence and the Machine. I think she's very talented.
Yeah.
A very very talented singer. So I think she kills it on the songs. I know you listened to them before we record. Any quick thoughts? I mean, we both love Stand By Me.
Yeah, I would still say that Stand By Me is probably the pinnacle. I like the new songs. I don't think I had a chance to listen to the third one. But yeah, I mean, they sound, I don't know if they're like great song. I think they'd be fine in game driving.
Yeah, it'll be
driving with
interesting
your
to see.
PSVR headset on.
Yeah, right.
But
Well,
yeah.
I think it's interesting more like the tone of the songs themselves too. Because like Stand By Me, you kind of get it's like the bro road trip, like you can see that. But the other 2 songs, like trying to picture without weirdly spoiling things, maybe like I'm trying to imagine when they might be used in the game,
Yeah.
which I find interesting. And I thought maybe it'd be interesting to have a conversation, Colin, about the use of these songs in this particular game, right? And thinking about, I mean, they did it with Final Fantasy 13. They got Leona Lewis to do this, My Hands, kind of the theme for Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
And now we got Florence and the Machine. And I figured maybe that'd be an interesting conversation to have. However, there's a rumor that has shown up literally moments before, just minutes before we started recording. And this is going to, I feel like this conversation might be slightly similar to the conversation we had a few months ago when No Man's Sky was delayed.
Okay.
This rumor comes from Gamenesia. So I don't really know how reliable they are. And we really haven't got any information regarding this. Again, this has just popped up. But it is here, and it's kind of something that I could see happening. And so the rumor is that Final Fantasy 15, are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down.
Has been delayed.
Oh.
So instead of releasing on September 30th, the rumor is that it will be released on November 29th. That is the Tuesday after Black Friday. And of course, now we haven't heard anything official. I mean, this could be debunked during recording, moments after we end recording. By the time you're listening to this whole conversation could be meaningless.
Yep.
As it was with No Man's Sky. But I wanted to at least very quickly, without spending too much time, I know that I'm probably, of the two of us, the one most excited for this game. I would guess.
That would be safe to assume.
You've at least been considering it. Are you bummed out about this news? I should say rumor. We should clarify.
I'm usually pretty bummed out about, speculation and rumors of delays, but I feel like with this one, it would be beneficial. I guess maybe to alleviate our thoughts that we saw at E3. About kind of maybe the game not looking so great here and there. But it can maybe quell some thoughts. A 2-month delay would help.
Yeah, I think we remember at E3 that Titan demo was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, I look at this game and I think of everything that Square Enix is putting out and will be putting out throughout this year and next. Like, this game, more so than almost anything else, really needs to be in a very solid state when it releases, and it needs to at least be good.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, I know that Final Fantasy XIV, I've played it a lot, that game. It is incredible, and I know that you can look at 14 more so as a case for Final Fantasy still being, having turned it around since the reception of 13 and everything that happened last gen. But unfortunately, not a lot of people kind of think about that because it's an MMO. Final Fantasy 15 is the next single-player Final Fantasy after 13, and 13 just... The reception for those games was not great.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, and so there's a lot riding on 15. And so I think, if it were to be required that, look, we got to push this back because we've got to really polish this up or something, or whatever the issue may be, I'm okay with that. A little bummed out, can't lie.
Yeah.
We were sitting here like, man, we're about a month and a half away, and now it's like, well, I don't know, maybe it's gonna be a little bit longer. I like something that you brought up though, the interesting point about The Last Guardian.
Yes.
Maybe that'll come out first now. Maybe we pull the switcheroo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, man. We'll find out, again, by the time you're listening to this whole story could be completely irrelevant. It could have been debunked, and maybe it's been confirmed. Who knows? But on the chance that it is real, just on the record, just make sure this game's good. Delay it as much as you can. Not too much, of course. This game should come out, preferably this year.
Yeah.
If possible, but make sure it's good. I'm willing to wait as long as the quality's gonna be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, we got a bunch of other news stories. Colin, you wanna take some of this?
Yeah, sure. First up, we have Rive, which is an explosive, looks like, I would say, 2D action platformer. It's made by a developer called Two Tribes, which is apparently this is their last game. They've already announced that they're going and doing other things with their lives and focusing on other careers, so this will be their final game. Looks...
Wow.
Yeah, I think it looks... I want to say... I might be completely forgetting this one, but I remember seeing this game a lot, on the Nintendo Indies thing. That's where I remember this game from. They had, the Nindies at Nintendo, and I had seen this game a lot there, and I want to say that it might even be like amiibo support or something. I might be completely off, or I might be thinking of a completely different game, which I think I might be. But yeah, that's coming to PlayStation 4 on September 13th. Next up, we have The Huntsman, Winter's Curse, arriving on PS4 next week on August 16th. This game is actually, I would say, has been given the blessing of this development studio by NBC Universal. And so I would say it's an RPG, kind of almost looks like something like Banner Saga. I would almost very Banner Saga-esque, I want to say,
like the art style.
Yeah, like in the art style.
I'd agree with that. Sure.
Yeah, and it's like an action RPG. Oh no, maybe action RPG, but an RPG genre where you're following a courageous young woman trying to uncover the whereabouts of her missing brothers in a surreal animated world. And what do we got next? We got Adventure Capitalist on August 16th. Now, you were saying this was Adventure?
Adventure.
Okay.
Thieves Capital.
Okay.
So an Adventure Capitalist, what is it? The blog post puts it this way. Earning cash has never been as easy as it is in Adventure Capitalist. The game where you run a variety of quirky businesses by squeezing lemons, catching shrimp, and even taxing people to the moon. To the moon, by the way. Incredible game. Adventure Capitalist will be available for free. Oh, free. This is a free game.
Oh, okay. Free.
For free download off PlayStation Store on August 16th. I guarantee if you squeeze one lemon, you won't be able to stop. I didn't know it was free. Huh, that's interesting. I really I like the art style. I think the game sounds pretty cool. I guess I'm definitely going to check it out now.
Okay, cool.
For
yeah,
sure. I think it looks interesting.
Okay. Next up, we have One Way Trip, which, man, I tell you, this game sure.
Hold on, Colin. Sorry, I gotta interrupt you. I apologize. There's a screenshot from Adventure Capitalist where you can hire managers to play for you. I'm just gonna read you some of the manager names.
Okay.
Okay. There's Dorky McGrumpface, who is a cat.
Okay.
There is Gus Polos, which is a chicken. It's like a rooster. There is
Dwayne... Poyos, I would almost say.
Poyos. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Thank you for the correction.
Yes.
There is Dwayne Gretzky.
Okay, I like that.
Those are the ones that I can read. So.
Okay.
I thought those were pretty good.
I appreciate that. We both know that we appreciate a good pun.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Some good names.
But yeah. So moving on, One Way Trip. This game just surprises me. Just whenever every single time I say it's a trip. So I don't really know what to say about this game. It's
there's a
how
story.
Do we even say this? Like,
here,
I don't even know what it is.
This is a game that it's like a weird, like cover shooter, maybe in some way.
See, I've read that too, but
where
does it show?
Very strange art style.
It seems almost very like text heavy, maybe at some points.
Yeah, well, so the story is like everyone's like infected with some disease, and they've got like 6 days to live or something like that.
Okay.
And so there's that kind of element. That's what I know of it. This is a game that had been announced like a year or two ago. Okay. And I remember reading up on it and being like, this sounds super interesting and weird. Didn't know it was coming out this soon. I guess it just kind of showed up and it's like, oh, by the way, it's coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's coming August 30th.
Yeah, so I think it looks interesting. It just looks so crazy and weird. Very eye-catching.
I really just don't know what to say sometimes. Like, I'm reading I read some of the blog posts that, yeah, it says like it's a cover shooter, but I'm like, I don't know where they got that from the trailer for some, I don't know. Like, I just like this game is.
There is a trailer. One of the first trailers does show like a section where they're like ducking behind cover and shooting and stuff. Yeah, I have seen that part of the game. Okay.
Well, that's good to know. Next up, we have Super Combo Man coming to PlayStation 4. I don't know if we have a specific date on this, but it's coming
sometime this fall.
Okay. Yeah. So just kind of reading some of the blog posts as instead of like doing tasks, your character ends up doing combos. Like fighting in like a 2D plane, and so they talk about how it's almost like a Smash Brothers meets Marvel vs. Capcom platformer. The game pays homage to super rad Super Combo 2D fighting games of the past, Place to collect stickers throughout the game and unlock new moves and special attacks. I did see, when I watched the trailer, I did see a like Hadouken at one point. So I would say that this game has my recommendation already. That and Mega Man X for its Hadouken, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks interesting. Do you have any thoughts on it? Did you see the trailer at all?
No, but I like the ideal of the kind of cross between Marvel vs. Capcom and Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
that sounds great to me.
A lot of vertical movement, a lot of things just kind of flying around the screen, things like that. I would suggest looking up that trailer. I think it looks pretty good. Next up, we have the Lich Spear coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita. I'm not sure we have a date on this one either, but imagine being, I guess, a person throwing spears to please gods, and you're kind of throwing like lightsaber spears. So it's a one-of-a-kind theme, hoping to celebrate the wonderful mix of Germanic culture, Nordic mythology, a lot of German. It says Penguin Vikings are in the game, Curtis.
I
don't
saw
know if
that.
You read this.
I did see that.
Okay.
And that excited me.
Okay. What do you think the Penguin Vikings will be? Do you think it'll be like Toby from Battleborn kind of Penguin Viking? Because didn't he have a hat on?
In Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, if I can just say words today.
It's okay.
In Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Wii U, some of the enemies in the game are penguins, and they're wearing like Viking helmets, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So that's basically how I imagine it going down.
Okay.
I just want to a quick update. One weekend, still have not found any penguins in No Man's Sky. So the search continues. I'm sure they're out there. Just have not come across them just yet.
Okay, well, that's good. We'll keep us updated on that. That'll be good. But yeah, you're surviving with style, expanding your powers, fight for glory and the amusement of the almighty gods. Doesn't look like you're arcing, throwing spears and things like that. So you have sometimes like a lot of enemies coming at you, or sometimes you have like a giant boss coming at you and you have to hit it in specific points, it looks like. And it also says they have a great electronic soundtrack. So I'm down for that as well.
Nice.
So Curtis, we've heard about this Nordic Games before. Maybe not many people know too much about them.
Yeah.
But they bought a lot of another company's IPs.
They were instrumental in basically saving a lot of games when THQ shut down a few years ago.
Yep.
Obviously, THQ was auctioning off a number of their different IPs. So like Saints Row, of course, went to Deep Silver. Volition also went with Deep Silver. went to Deep Silver.
Yeah.
And Nordic Games kind of showed up. There was this company that no one had really heard of.
Mm-hmm.
No one was really like sure of like, who are these people really? But they showed up and they bought Darksiders. They got Red Faction. They got The Blob, Destroy All Humans. They bought like just a lot.
Yep.
From THQ, but they also apparently acquired just the name itself.
Mm-hmm.
So we got this email earlier this morning, and I remember like I kind of woke up and it was one of the first things I had seen this morning, and it kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I'm just gonna read a little bit from this email, not too much, just a little bit of some of the press release here, because Nordic Games has reincorporated to THQ Nordic.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave themselves a little bit of a backstory here, but there's like a self-awareness to this PR that I liked. One could say the most defining moment for our company happened in 2013, grabbing the headlines like, quote, "Who the F is Nordic Games?" or, quote, "Darksiders gets bought by ... Nordic Games," and, quote, "Nordic Games explains who the F they are, plans for THQ assets."
That's awesome.
I
said the same thing in like whatever, that 2011, 2012 when Deep Silver came out with Dead Island. I was like, who the heck is Deep Silver? Like I had never heard of Deep Silver before, of Dead Island.
So I guess their kind of concept is like rebranding the THQ Nordic. THQ is kind of as a name a bit more well known.
Mm-hmm.
People have heard of them, whereas if you're like, yeah, it's from Nordic Games, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So THQ, like having that THQ moniker there, I think in their minds probably helps them. But the other interesting thing to note here, in this email, Let's see. As of now, we have 23 game projects in development. 13 thereof have not yet been publicly announced.
Yeah.
But are sure to be in the next months. Needless to say, the majority of these projects are based on former THQ-owned IPs and franchises.
Yeah. I would say, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure, but didn't Nordic also acquire the Metro series? I want to say they acquired that as well. I'm not 100%. Or was that? No, that's Deep Silver. Sorry, scratch that. No. Deep Silver acquired.
THQ Nordic brands include Darksiders, MX vs. ATV, Red Faction, and Titan Quest. That's just to name a few, but there's also, again, like Destroy All Humans.
Okay.
A number of others. So there's obviously, I mean, I think you can look at Darksiders and say that's probably a safe bet.
Yeah.
We know there's that Darksiders collection coming out, I think, relatively soon.
We've already got Darksiders 2 remastered. We've already got Darksiders 1 coming.
Right. Well, isn't there's a Darksiders? I don't know the name. I can't remember the name.
It's like War Mastered collection or something.
Yeah. Isn't that both of them?
Yeah, I think that's probably both of them.
Okay.
But the second one's already out.
Right.
I believe.
So like you have that, and of course like you assume maybe Red Faction. I saw some people theorizing maybe Destroy All Humans. I think there were some teases about that a couple months ago. So interesting news. Like I think it's an interesting like ideal of like rebranding to like having the THQ being brought in.
Yeah.
Is interesting nonetheless. So we'll see how that works out for him.
I think it's a good move, personally. Yeah. Some people were saying, I was hearing people on Twitter talking about that why would you associate your name with a company that went bankrupt in THQ? But I think it does go back to, like, people recognize what THQ is. Nobody knows who Nordic Games is.
Yeah.
And I think that even bringing those IPs, like a lot of those IPs they had from THQ, bringing it back together in, like, the THQ name, I think they'll be better off with this new name than they were just staying Nordic Games.
And for me personally, I just, if somehow this enables the Darksiders franchise to move forward in some capacity, I would like that. I'm still I'm in this position where like the ending of Darksiders 1 was one of the best video game endings, and I'm working with like moving forward in life, assuming we'll never get the realization of what that ending teased.
Yeah.
But I still have hope that maybe we can get kind of close. So if THQ Nordic can pull that off, then I'll be happy. We got a couple more news stories here. Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 is coming to PS4 on September 13th.
Yep.
This is great. Like, did you ever play Championship Edition?
I think it was free on PlayStation Plus at some point.
That game is great.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So pretty hyped for that. And then Rocket League Rumble Mode and Octagon Map are launching in September. I think Octagon Map is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, so
what is Rumble Mode?
Oh my goodness, Curtis. So this is the best way I can describe it. Imagine Rocket League, okay? So you have your Rocket League. Just imagine it.
Yeah. Yep.
Now imagine like Nintendo comes in and throws like Mario Kart in there.
Okay.
With items and weapons and other things like that.
Okay.
So there are, I want to see if they announce, I want to say 3, 6, 9. It looks like 11 or 12 brand new items. So they have like a boot that kicks an opponent's car, a disruptor that forces your opponent to drive uncontrollably, a freezer which freezes the ball in place, a grappling hook pulls you towards the ball, haymaker punches the ball, magnetizer attracts the ball to your car, a plunger grabs the ball via a plunger and cord and drags it with you. A power hitter allows you to hit everything harder. A spike attaches the ball to your car when you bump into it, so you can like have the spike power up and then run into the ball and then just drive into the goal with the ball attached to your car. There's a swapper which allows you to change positions with someone on the field. And then a tornado which just sweeps up the ball and opposing cars in a giant funnel cloud. This seems nuts, and I like it.
That sounds pretty great.
You should check out they have a blog post on the Rocket League game forum, and I saw
there's a trailer for it too.
There's a trailer as well that got posted to YouTube, but they've got also a few little GIFs that show what each of the things do. I think this looks hilarious, and I think there's like a lot of strategy that could happen, especially with these. I'm almost just like speechless because like I didn't think like this would be a thing that they would put into Rocket League, but I feel like there could be this could be one of those moments where there's like 5 seconds left, and like you just think the team is gonna lose or win or whatever, and you just pull one of these power ups out, and then everything changes in a quick second. I'm very happy with this. I'm sure definitely that this is not going to be put into ranked play, as I'm pretty sure it won't be. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to check this out sometime in September.
So is this a free update like
Yeah.
most of the other stuff? Okay.
I'm pretty sure this is a free update, as I have not. Yeah, it's a free game mode. Yep.
Man, good on those guys. They've been consistently really good with that game. I feel like.
Yep.
Okay,
It's pretty incredible. I really like this Rumble stuff.
I'm pretty excited about this discussion topic we have this week.
Me too.
But before we get there, we have some business to take care of.
Uh-oh.
Now, Colin, I have not looked at this Metacritic website.
Oh, I have.
But before we do that,
goodness.
if you remember last week, we at the end of the episode we kind of made a bet, but we didn't have stakes ready. So I want to go over the stakes first before we look at this, and also before we look at this, I want to No Man's Sky came out this week. I've been playing a ton of it. You got it. I don't know if you've played any yet.
I've played about an hour or so.
Okay, hold that thought.
Okay.
Our bet was what the Metacritic average is going to be. We said at the end of August. It seems like some people are posting their reviews a little sooner than I thought they might.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a conversation in and of itself.
Sure.
So do we want to take this average now, or do we want to give it like a week?
Oh, we can give it a week, but I think it's already set in stone.
Okay, so before we look at it, though, we do have stakes ready.
Now, what did you say again? What score did you see?
Mine was 76. Yours was 86, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think mine was 86. I was thinking yours.
Okay,
was
and
76.
mine was 76 or something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
So before we do that, Colin, my stakes for you, is you need to live stream a complete playthrough of the best Resident Evil game ever made. I am, of course, talking about Resident Evil Remake.
Oh man.
And then you have something for me to do.
Yes, I do, Curtis Penguin. Yeah. If I win, which it probably sounds like I'm not going to, you have to watch Batman vs Superman. And
this is important because I have zero interest in this movie at all.
Yes.
I kind of refuse to watch it because I just don't care for that movie.
I like that movie. It's a good movie.
And you like it. You kind of gone against a lot of the critical reception.
I know. I go against the haters a lot.
Yeah. Except with Suicide Squad, I guess.
Yeah, Suicide Squad was okay. I wasn't it was just
Yeah.
Go ahead and click on that Metacritic.
So, you want me to see it for myself?
I'd say just go ahead and click on it.
Okay, so we're opening this up. This is as of Friday night,
August 12th.
Good God.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So there are 23 reviews. This is on the PS4 version. The Metascore right now is at 69.
Yep.
Now, of course, that is a small selection of reviews. I assume that this page is gonna populate quite a bit over the next week or so.
Sure.
And then our review itself is probably still a good week and a half away. It really just depends on how things go.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I guess we're gonna have more coverage on No Man's Sky itself on separate things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's looking good for me, but we'll see.
It's looking pretty good for you. I think the only way for me to somehow win this is this just got to start pulling some perfect scores.
Yeah, if it starts getting some 9s and stuff. Yeah, because it can only pull it up so far.
Yeah.
I was expecting 80, low 80s.
Yeah.
I still think it'll probably end up around there.
Okay.
Because I still think there's been weird, I don't even want to call it controversies. There's been weird stuff around this game, but I still feel like I see a lot of people really into it and really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Even people who I know are going to end up reviewing it. So we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, invites went out to different members of the press, inviting them to something called the PlayStation Meeting.
Yep.
This PlayStation Meeting is taking place on September 7th, just a few weeks away, and it's important to note the wording, the name of this event, PlayStation Meeting. The last time we had a PlayStation Meeting was in February of 2012, was it?
2013.
2013, February. It was the meeting in which they officially revealed the PlayStation 4.
Yep.
This is where Mark Cerny took the stage. He showed off Knack.
They showed off the PlayStation 4, but more importantly, Knack.
More importantly, Knack, of course. We saw Watch Dogs. We saw Deep Down.
Yep.
If you remember that.
We saw infamous Second Son.
That was when when Witness was officially confirmed to be coming to PS4.
Yep.
A number of things happened there, and that was kind of. I think you could make the argument that the PlayStation meeting there, that was kind of the beginning of this shift.
Yeah.
Where Sony or PlayStation itself had kind of found itself back in the limelight as like, and eventually would become the best-selling console of this generation thus far.
Mm-hmm.
So now here we are, the PlayStation meeting once again, just a few weeks away. I think you could make a very educated guess about what's going to be there.
Sure.
Namely the PlayStation Neo, PlayStation 4 Neo, whatever it ends up being called. This is something we've talked about on this show previously, a lot before E3 when the rumors started hitting about what this thing would be. This idea of an upgraded PlayStation 4. We have since seen Microsoft announce the Xbox One S and then also the Project Scorpio,
mm-hmm.
of which we still don't know a whole lot about. But now we have
a
the
monster.
Neo.
It's all we know. It's a monster.
Yeah. So I think just kind of educated guess wise, you can look at PlayStation Neo. This is where it's going to finally be revealed. It seems like the smart money is on this thing coming out this year.
I would say so. Yeah.
I believe Andrew House even said that when they announce it, it's going to be a pretty short time span from announced to release.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about first is, PlayStation Neo specifically, when do you think this thing is coming out and at what price? Now, granted, without knowing specific specs and stuff, this is, just fun guesses, we'll say.
I think they're gonna double up. I think they're going to release this on October 13th at $3.99. I think this comes out same day as PSVR.
Okay. I think this comes out the same week.
Same week? Okay.
The PlayStation meeting.
Yeah, I could see that too.
I think, not saying specifically September. I think September 7th is like a Tuesday. I could see this being like it's available later this week, or it's in or the next week or a couple weeks, sometime in September. When you think about the rumors we've heard like starting in October or games released late September are required to like have some sort of patch that will have some sort of Neo focused mode, something that would improve the graphics or whatever it would be. That was at least one of the rumors.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to talk about, so like if you look at the PlayStation meeting for PS4, we had Mark Cerny come out, kind of detail what the PS4 is. We had talks about like what PlayStation Now would turn into, number of different like technical aspects and like different plans as far as the system itself was concerned. But we did get game announcements. Colin, do you think, and if so, what do you expect to be there aside from the PlayStation Neo? Whether it's video games or what have you?
Man, the only thing I can think of is maybe take like if they're not doing Gamescom this year, are they? I guess I would assume they're not doing Paris Games Week. Do we know that for sure?
I think they'll still do Paris Games Week.
Okay.
I just think like last year they had to announce prior to Gamescom that they weren't doing Gamescom.
Yeah.
And so that's why Paris Games Week was just announced so early. I think they're still do it.
Okay.
I don't because that was a full conference. Like this, I expect to be focused only on the Neo.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like you could still have your Paris Games Week conference to talk about kind of all broader aspects.
Yeah.
Of the PlayStation.
The only thing I can think of is if they bring out some stuff they had at E3, like God of War, maybe.
Okay.
Resident Evil 7, maybe. They trot Capcom out on stage again.
Okay.
They did it with Deep Down. Maybe do it again.
Do you think Deep Down's going to show up here?
It could.
So one of the initial rumors, of course, was that God of War and Deep Down were two games that were going to be like kind of key in the PlayStation Neo push.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, I mean, and deep down, actually, recent as of this week, Capcom like put in an extension for filing that trademark this past week. So like, it's still there's something going on. Maybe there's not. I'm almost at a point where like I kind of expect deep down to reemerge here, and whether it's something completely different or not, we'll see.
My guess is that if I had to make just a side note prediction, I would say Deep Down is not a free-to-play game anymore.
I was thinking about that the other night, and I would probably agree. I think Deep Down has probably seen some substantial changes.
Yeah, it was like, what was that, TGS 2013?
Yeah, it was playable there.
Okay, yeah, and I think everybody like was like, yeah, this game looks good, and then they heard like
and
free to play.
And we found out it was free to play. Yeah.
And I think everybody just kind of turned off their expectations.
And if you remember, like for the Japanese PS4 launch, there was going to be like a beta, and nothing really ever came of it. It just kind of vanished. So yeah, like
there's one game I do think that you'd probably assume that has to be there, which is Gran Turismo Sport. They gotta show off the car game.
Okay.
I would say I'd say that's maybe even one of their flagship titles to show graphically.
So you think
how good that looks?
I think God of War is kind of first party wise. Obviously, I think you have like 2 or 3 games, because I think it's one thing to like come out and be like, here's a new system and it can do this. I think you've got to at least show a handful of stuff, just so people can see firsthand what kind of difference it is, and whether they show side by side or whatever they plan on showing. I think first party, of course, as you said, GT Sport. Would you agree that God of War is probably a pretty good bet?
I mean, other than
maybe
like Days Gone, like what other like flagship first party could they show? I mean, maybe I'm just leaving out the obvious.
There is Uncharted 4 DLC.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be a really good, like...
That could be.
I mean, that's something that you could save for PlayStation Experience, but if you want to show, like, maybe there's something about Uncharted 4 that could be, like... Maybe not even visually, because that game looks so good, but maybe there's something you could show that'd be like, yeah, and this is what the Neo brings to the table.
Yeah, and I guess the other one I'm forgetting, obviously, is, like, Horizon.
Sure.
I'll
like, throw a wild card in there. I'll throw a wild card in there. What if Final Fantasy 15 just shows up at the PlayStation meeting?
And they're like, by the way, our game's coming out November 29th.
And, like, I mean, the possible delay would be announced beforehand, but then they could say, like, hey, also, like, we're going to have this super sweet Neo patch ready to go when this game comes out.
Yeah.
Those are the games that come to mind. I don't know if there's anything in particular.
Like, the other thing I can think of is, like, I don't think they would show that card, but Sucker Punch, if they show up with something.
Okay.
It was like, what, July 2013? Or not 2013, 2014 that First Light came out, and Second Son was earlier in, like, March.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So, like, that's first-party stuff. Is there any, like, third-party companies or games that you think could maybe show up? This is being held in New York, by the way.
Yeah.
Not that would have a big impact. I don't know, but...
Are you leading to something?
Well, there was a game I was thinking about a few days ago. Because sometimes, like, you think about like, you think back to E3 or any recent event, and it's like, whatever happened to this? Or, like, there was all these rumors about this specific thing being there, and it wasn't, and then there were some rumors about it, why it wasn't there.
I think I know where you're going with this.
And then it just vanishes. And I was thinking, whatever happened to the Red Dead rumor?
That's what I was thinking.
Like, was it really just not supposed to be announced there? Was there something to kind of the theories of why it didn't show up? Was it supposed to be there and was it pulled? Like, what actually happened? Because it feels like, at least going into E3, we were primed to have that game announced. Like, even just if you listen to the way 2K was talking about upcoming announcements, it really seemed like Red Dead was going to get announced soon. And thus far, there hasn't even been a tease of it.
Yeah.
And you would think that that's something that should be coming up. Not that it will be out before March, but it would. You would think it maybe would be late 2017. And unless they're planning on pulling a Bethesda and announcing it like 6 months in advance, which would be cool. But, like, so do you think something crazy like that could show up?
I think something crazy like that could happen. And then I also take a look at, like, what other third parties and franchises is like PlayStation in bed with already.
Okay.
You go to Activision, you look at
You got
Destiny.
your Call of Duty and your
you,
Destiny.
you have your Destiny and your Call of Duty. You have Infinite Warfare. You have Rise of Iron.
Mm-hmm.
What if something there was big there? You look at Ubisoft. The one thing I look at specifically with Ubisoft is you look at Watch Dogs. Yeah, with Watch Dogs, that's kind of been a big partnership there. Maybe Watch Dogs 2 has some extra thing, or even makes San Francisco look even bigger. And then the other one, I look at EA. I mean, you look at it's not
like
really too much
draw distances and stuff.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, but I mean, the other one I think of is, I mean, you look at EA, that I know that they've been talking that they've been showing Titanfall 2 off on PlayStation 4. So maybe even EA shows up with Titanfall 2, and I don't know. It's just like there could be a lot of like third-party support that could just show up, and then you have other companies saying like, "Oh, we'd really be excited for," like Bethesda said something like where we'd be really excited for PlayStation 4 Neo. Maybe they have.
I think even Sean Murray came out and speculated that Neo would potentially completely change No Man's Sky in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Which I could see.
Yeah.
I could see that.
But I think even just from base games, I think there's gonna be a big VR focus here as well.
Yeah. That's the other angle, right? Yeah. Is the VR. We're gonna be this PlayStation meeting occurs about a little over a month before PlayStation VR officially hits. Collin, like, do you think the majority of this meeting might be focusing or maybe they'll split it? Maybe half of it will be like, okay, now let's talk about VR and how it can be enhanced with Neo or something.
Yeah, I think
if so, what do you think might be shown to go alongside with that?
There's got to be some like E3. They kind of came out and killed it. I think a lot with VR. I think there's got to be something else that's like just almost like brand new game announcement that like they were holding from E3 just for this specific PlayStation meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I almost wonder if we'll get.
What would that be?
I almost wonder this. I mean, even on a side note, to go off of VR real quick, I just wonder, like, they talked about how Capcom's gonna like maybe update that Resident Evil 7 demo. Like, do we get like the next update of that demo or that next trailer?
Like, I don't think we would. I mean, you could maybe see them talk about how that game could be affected in a positive way.
That game comes out in January.
Yeah. Like, dude, Resident Evil 7 is like months away.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think I don't think we would get an update to a demo. I think this is going to be focused on Neo, obviously, but like with VR, I mean VR I think is probably the thing that could see the best benefit of more than anything from Neo, at least from what very little we know of it as far as like confirmed specific things. And so like that makes me wonder too, because like it really depends on when PlayStation VR comes out and when we have it in our hands and we're able to say, like, this is how everything runs on a regular PS4 compared to a Neo. Because you got to, like, they don't want to show people that the original PS4 is not meant for VR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to want to demonstrate that Neo can open up some interesting possibilities, but you also have to, like, play it really you have to really balance things and be like, okay, but that doesn't mean the PS4 is bad when this thing comes out, you know what I mean?
And I think they've done a good job of that, especially like with E3. I think that was a smart move, because if they came out of E3 and said, here's Neo, here's Resident Evil 7, here's all this Star Wars Battlefront, here's Arkham VR, all that stuff, people would think like, oh, well, it's probably running on Neo, like how's my regular PS4 going to run it?
Well, look at like God of War, right?
Yeah.
It's like they confirmed that was original PS4 stuff. But like you think like, man, like how do you even approve that game? Like what do you do?
Yeah.
Maybe frame rate? I don't know. What does Sony have to do to convince you on Neo?
I don't know what. So first off, I don't know what they have to do, but I know what they don't need to do.
Okay.
They don't need to take 15 seconds of Andrew House going up there and saying, here's a side-by-side shot of PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Neo booting up Uncharted 4. And then, like, we just sit and, like, we watch the Neo boot up Uncharted 4, like, 10 seconds faster.
And it's, like, slightly, like, Yeah, like maybe less loading, like you said, yeah, less
Yeah,
loading
like
times,
less
better
loading
draw
times
distances, or
or something. Yeah, I don't want that. Um,
Although I
I
will
don't.
say, like, the prospect of having a Dark Souls or Bloodborne game that the technical aspect was a bit more evened out.
Mm-hmm.
I like that ideal. I don't know if that's a $400, pull for me,
Yeah.
but I do like the thought
Mm-hmm.
at least. But I agree with you. Like that can't. I don't know. Do you think they could introduce something that is just even aside from the upgraded games aspect? Do you think maybe there could be some other aspect of the Neo that'd be like, oh yeah, that actually is super cool?
I don't know. Um,
What
yeah,
if it
I
could
really don't
play?
know.
What if it could play PlayStation 1 games?
Yeah, I was wondering if we're gonna get something miscellaneous like that. Um, we got a lot of promises at the last
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't
would tell you
know.
one like
I
one
really
thing.
just don't know. We don't really know too much.
Yeah, it's so hard. I think I'm in the same position as you, where it's like I could see myself falling into the trap of like, oh, but I want it because it's new.
Mm-hmm.
But just from this standpoint, like here I am right now, like I have a PS4 that is going totally fine. I don't think a year from now on the original PS4 you're gonna have games that are like just barely chugging along. Like I don't think that'll be the case either.
Yeah.
So I think the sell on Neo is kind of a tough one, unless they're like, I mean, VR. I could see that being a really big reason to upgrade.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just don't.
I think it's got to make. So you've tried VR.
Yeah.
I mean, did you kind? I think with playing VR games, the visual fidelity and the visual quality of games is definitely decreased.
Yeah, I mean, like I
Just
heard
like,
it with
is it?
Resident Evil 7 specifically.
Yeah. And I don't know, like this might be just completely unrelated thought, but like I had the same thing when I went over to a friend's house and played like 3D games in 3D, like when 3D was the big thing on PS3. Like I had played Resistance 3 in 3D, and it's like everything was just so blocky and it just didn't look good.
Yeah.
To me, and I felt like Uncharted 3 was kind of the same way, that like the visual quality is just decreased, that like you kind of lose that, I guess, immersion you already had.
I think like if I got PlayStation VR, right? And I started playing games and I was like, this is fine, but like I can see where corners are cut.
Yeah.
And then I was able to see what the Neo would bring to it. I could see that being a strong pull for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I would get the Neo a little bit later on. But if I like found myself really into VR, and it was like, you know what, like I kind of do want one because I would like to see this better, or I would like this to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know, like maybe there is some unknown thing that like this unknown quantity that for whatever reason no one has really thought about that would be a big sell, at least for us, where it's like we've got PS4s. Yeah. And I don't think either of us are really feeling the need to upgrade. Not that there aren't people who do.
What if?
Okay.
What if they come out with an upgraded Move controller?
Oh, there you go. That's it.
There you go.
Knack 2's Neo exclusive.
With the only other game... Okay, speaking of games that we would maybe expect to show up at the PlayStation meeting...
Okay.
Dreams. I think that would show up. I think that could show up in VR.
Sure.
Media Molecule likes to do experimental things.
Mm-hmm.
They mess around with PlayStation Move, mess around with the camera. I think Dreams could show up and be a big thing as well.
Just kind of like offhand prediction here. I think Mark Cerny is the guy you get to introduce this thing.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, you bring him out there.
It's been too long, and he's the guy. Like he's the guy you want talking about this. I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
And who know? I mean, we know Mark Cerny's been working on like a smaller project. So like maybe he could show that off. Maybe that's something really cool that they could show off. But like that's the trouble, right? I think that's the trouble of announcing a new game is you have to, again, as we've heard, there aren't supposed to be Neo exclusives.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have changed. That's possible. But like So if you're announcing a new game, you again have to be like, okay, listen, these are going to be on both. However, here's what the Neo brings to it. Like, I don't envy them. So I don't know. So you said, I think for 400, I feel like that's really likely.
Yeah, I'd say it's the original price of the PlayStation 4.
And do you think the original PS4 gets pushed down to 300?
So do you think it's just the original PlayStation 4 gets pushed down, or do you think we also get a slimmer PlayStation 4?
So I think there was a rumor that a slimmer PS4 might be showing up.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I think it would say the same model. I don't think they're gonna bring a slimmer PlayStation 4, at least not yet.
Okay.
I feel like that thing's already.
Also, how much more slim can you get?
Exactly. I think that thing's already pretty slim.
Unless, and that's the tough thing is like with Xbox, you got the Xbox One S that does bring some interesting updates, and the Scorpio's there. But the thing is, the Scorpio is supposed to be so much substantially more powerful. Whereas I feel like the things we've heard about the Neo are like it's better, but it's not like Scorpio like levels, right? It's not quite that strong. And so like I don't know. It's such a crazy thing to me. And it's so new. Like we haven't really seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
Or at least in this specific case. Are there any like last little like predictions you'd want to throw in there for things you might expect to happen?
I'm sure we'll probably think of stuff along, and I'm sure probably by the end of this we're probably gonna get leaks.
Oh sure,
here and there,
like different little tips and insider sources.
Yeah,
being like,
by the time September 7th
so I heard this thing's
happens,
gonna show up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not too much. Just really excited. I remember being in like January and they announced like PlayStation meeting 2013.
And it was around the same kind of like about a month or so in advance.
Yeah, I just remember being really excited.
Yeah.
So.
I'm just more than anything, it's gonna be good to have this out in the air now, where it's like, okay, we know what this thing is. We know how they're pitching it, like what, like specifics on just the specs and what the price is gonna be. When is it out? Like what is it? It's the type of thing like Andrew House came out during E3 and said, no, like we're working on it. We're not announcing it at E3, but it's not going to replace the PS4. Was that key wording? Like it's something that's going to be kind of included within this family.
Yeah.
And so like I'm excited to get this stuff out there so that we can actually start talking about it. Like we have purposely not really brought it up, even if there's been little updates and other little rumors up till now, because it's kind of felt kind of pointless until we know for sure what's going on.
What if there's like a Neo only controller or something like that? Like some like brand, like almost like elite controller for
like with better battery or
yeah.
Well, I was thinking like maybe like the Neo has a better like Wi-Fi adapter.
Yeah.
Just because the PS4 Wi-Fi card I feel like has been really bad in my experience. See, I don't know. Like I really like. I think VR itself is something I'm much more likely to get into.
Yeah.
As it's getting closer. The Neo, I still feel like I don't know. Like I don't know what I personally am looking for from it. At least maybe not until I see it. Maybe it takes seeing it to be like, okay, I can get excited about this now, but and I'm not like angry about it. Like are you like in a position where you're mad that this is happening, that you feel like
no,
it's too soon,
my one thought is like, what if we're just all wrong? Like, what if this event is just only focused on PlayStation VR, and then like there's no Neo like at all? Like, what if we're just wrong?
What if VR was Neo the whole time?
Yeah. What if you just
that little box that comes with it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That would be quite the twist.
Yeah.
Huh. So unless you have anything to add, I think that's probably gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
Looking forward to the live stream.
They are live streaming it, so we'll be watching it, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully something crazy happens.
Yeah, let's hope so.
If you can give one last crazy prediction for something that might show up,
Okay.
what do you think?
Crazy prediction. PlayStation 4 Neo makes Suicide Squad a better movie.
Oh. Well.
I said it, I guess.
All right.
Did I break the podcast?
I think that's gonna do it. I don't think I can top that.
I don't know. I don't have anything right now.
I feel like I already kind of like showed my hand. I figured my crazy prediction would be like Red Dead showing up.
I think that would be. I think that's
capacity.
almost safe. I think that's.
Although I mean, you wonder like, do you
prediction.
think like GTA 5 could be like a game that they headline and it's like, yeah, this is going to get a patch,
and even like story DLC on top of that,
something like that? Sure.
Yeah, could be.
Could be. So I think that's gonna do it. Colin, thanks for joining me as always.
Thanks.
This time next week we'll check in on the Metacritic update for No Man's Sky. See how that's
yeah.
sitting. In one real short sentence, you played an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 5 words.
Confused. Then I was enlightened.